This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Dream Power Radio. This is the place where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams. Now you can make the internal shift to a life you love and rediscover the truth of who you really are. I want to talk today about addictions, because if there's something that will keep you from living your dream life, that's certainly right up there at the top of the list. Sometimes, though, addictions are good, like when you're committed to working out, or you crave the idea of doing meditations every morning. Anything that puts your mindset on doing something positive is something to strive for. And I guess you could call that being addicted to positivity. But we all know about the other side of addictions, the high price it's paid when you take a walk to the dark side. Too many of us have had our lives ruined by things like addictions to drugs or to alcohol. Some people are even so full of self-loathing that they're addicted to anything that will justify that feeling, doing self-abusive things like overeating or cutting, or even going to the point of seeking out others to abuse them, either physically or mentally. My guest today, personal development coach Nick Drivas, is an expert on addiction. His addiction was one that I believe is more common to men than to women. He was addicted to porn. But now he helps people recover from all types of addictions. We're going to talk with him now about the effect his addiction had on him, how he overcame it, and his treatment program. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Nick.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm glad to be here.
Nick, watching porn is something I imagine you did by yourself. And in one sense, you weren't harming anyone else doing it. So how did it become something that ended up causing pain in your life?
Well, it started literally when I was like 12 years old. I had a lot of time to myself. Like my parents would go off to work even when I came home from school. So that's really when it started. I didn't have the chance to be involved in any sort of like activities outside of school and just growing up. So I had a lot of downtime, and that's where I started to develop my porn addiction. I was actually on YouTube just scrolling, and it was actually like a stripper video came up, and then ever since then it was downhill. For 10 plus years I was addicted, and then it developed into just more nasty pornography as I got older, and it diminished my confidence. It diminished everything about myself. I had very low self-esteem throughout high school, even into my early 20s. I'm now 23, and now the addiction is completely solidified. Like, don't touch that. It's been over a year now. So around like 15 months even. And it's just through the process and program that I do now and teach to others. But if I didn't go through all that, I would still be attached to that vice and still be, I don't even know if I would be here, to be honest. I don't know, because there was even thoughts of suicide. I did attempts, just trying to literally, it's hard to talk about sometimes, but literally like drowning myself in the bathtub. So it really messed me up throughout my high school and my early 20s as well. But I'm here today, and I'm here on this podcast. So yeah.
We are so happy about that, Nick.
Yeah.
Were you watching porn every day?
Yeah, so I was watching it literally 2 to 3 times a day. It was that bad.
So how did that, just the act of watching it, ruin your self-confidence and your self-esteem?
Especially when it came to women, just talking to women, being around women, trying to go up to a girl and try to get her phone number, anything of that sort. It really messed with my demeanor, because they would always reject me. And then I would think I'm a failure. I think I'm worthless. I think I can't do anything. And I would just go and run to porn right after. Like I would go home and then just masturbate to ease myself of what just happened. So I was only building more of a disgusting habit the more that I did that. And when I got hit with any sort of obstacle in my life, if it was for my business, if it was for some sort of schoolwork out in back in high school, that's what I would do. I would go and run to the porn to help me cope with what I was going through. I used it as a scapegoat.
That was your mechanism for self-soothing.
Yes, correct.
Very much. Well, that was, I could see how over time that could really just diminish everything that you feel about yourself and get you to that point where you said you were actually suicidal.
Yeah, very. And I kept it to myself, very suicidal. And not many people knew about it until I started coming on to podcasts like this. And it got really bad and just very negative thoughts and a lot of negative self-talk. And that's only because of the vices that I was doing. Now that I was able to flip everything, like life is all about perspective. So my perspective changed drastically. So now it's like, I don't even need that. Like, I just see life in a whole different lens. It's beautiful now. Before, when I was attached to the porn, I wouldn't even see like how the grass is so green or the sky is so blue. Now I'm appreciative. I have so much gratitude. So it's like me being off porn for like a year straight. It's just like it changes everything, and it's such a beautiful thing now. But back then it was very just a lot of just negativity just in my own head.
So what was the tipping point? What was it that finally got you to say, I can't do this anymore. I got to make a change?
So there's actually 2 points that kind of happened, but like it came back after that first one. And then I decided at a certain date, which was July 27, 2022, where it was like, I am never going to do this ever again, because I did a 200 plus day streak before that where I was on purpose. I started focusing on myself. This was more in my early 20s. So this was around like when COVID started. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to get in shape, do what I actually want to do. I started posting on TikTok. I started making workouts, but I was like super skinny. And I'm like 200 days in, I'm like, yo, this isn't working. I don't know what to do. And then I go back to the porn. So then for a year plus, I'm trying to run my business, my fitness coaching business. Nothing's working, no sales, no anything is coming in. And I'm like, okay, let's just do what I've been doing for 10 plus years, going back to the porn. And that's exactly what I did. So I already had a little bit just from, posting on TikTok and whatnot. So I knew what it was about, like not masturbating for 200 plus days, not watching porn. But then it just went hardcore back on it. So it goes even harder for like a year straight. And then now it's July 27, 2022. This is where I'm just like, I can't do this ever again. This is destroying my life. It's destroyed my whole life up to this very point for being on this earth for 22 years. And I'm just like, I can't. So I hire a personal development coach. He gets me on his elite level program, and he shows me to level up my business, to level up my physique, to level up all aspects, everything across the board, get my mindset right. Because I had that calling, and it was calling me because I just finished round 2 of like just doing this for the day. And I'm like, I need to change. I see it all over the toilet seat. I feel disgusted with myself. And I'm just like, I need to change. So I'm right out literally on my phone, like in my notes section of what I'm going to say to this guy, send it to him. And then he like instantly, he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then I just sent the money, boom, get in, and then just started annihilating right out the gate. And I haven't looked back ever since that moment on July 27th. And everything has changed through the process that I was able to learn from him. Now I teach it to others, and I still apply to this day. Like like he taught me like early morning wake up, journaling, reading, all these things. I'm up at 4 now. Before, my sleep schedule was all over the place. It was 11 o'clock one day to 7 o'clock another, 12 o'clock. And it was because of the habits, the vices that I was attached to. So now there's a strict and rigid structure with everything that I do and aligning with my 10.0 self.
I think there's another point that you touched on briefly, and I want to emphasize that, which is it's a journey. It's not like you've stopped and you're never going to do it again. You have ways to keep yourself from ever going back. And that's by practicing the things that you've learned. So what are some of the mindset changes that you had, that you made about yourself, that enabled you to have that ability to stop this addiction?
The first thing I would say is getting around more individuals that you admire to be like. So the coach that I went to him because I admired the success that he had. I knew that he was killing it and he had something that I didn't have. So I lacked it and I needed that level up, basically. That's why I got around him. Then my mindset started to change. And then he taught me to build just solidified habits, a strong foundation with everything that I do. Me waking up so early, it built discipline in myself. Like everybody thinks, oh, it's motivation is what's going to like get you to that next step to keep you going. No, it's discipline. When you don't want to get out of the bed at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, like, are you sleeping in or are you pushing yourself? He's always teaching me just these mindset gems. That's the other thing too, is like all these gems that I found, like, become the source of what you seek. So when I think of that little gem, I think, okay, would the best me be masturbating 2-3 times a day? And then I'm like, no. So let me not do that. I just try to focus on who I desire to become. And then I align with that character. And then if I am ever out of alignment, I snap back in real quick to that 10.0 character. That's like a major gem.
You also said that you had started a physical conditioning business. So you are someone who is in physical shape and you do a lot of physical activity. Is that also a key to your recovery, or would you say it's 100% the mindset changes?
Well, it's the mindset, and then like how you said, it's also the fitness and the nutrition aspect as well. That's the other thing that coach taught me that now I teach to others as well, and then I still apply, obviously, to this day. You can go on my Instagram too, like chopped, like, I'm shredded. So yeah, definitely the nutrition aspect is a big part, like the foods that you eat. Recently, I've just been going super clean too, to make sure my mindset is super tapped in and that my head stays clear. So definitely changing diet is a big thing because we are what we consume. So if we're eating Pop-Tarts and pizza all day, we're going to feel that and not feel our best. But if we have some chicken, some rice, and some green beans, let's just say, for instance, like, you're going to feel a lot more better. Your energy is going to feel way better. You're going to sustain just a healthier lifestyle overall. And naturally, you're just going to feel more confident because you ate something that is benefiting you compared to the Pop-Tarts and the pizza. So nutrition, and then just fitness, like getting into the gym, doing some sort of workout. If at any point I have a negative thought, I literally hit the floor and do push-ups or burpees, any sort of activity, some workout activity that allows me to get up in flow state. Then everything goes out the chamber. So I'm not worried about what's going to happen in 6 months if I'm thinking of the future. I'm just focused on that present moment, me putting that work into that floor. And then that's what raises my vibration back up. And then I can go back into my workday and focus on that very moment. I'm not focused on what's to come, or if I have a negative thought coming through, I can get rid of that negative thought with just action. That's a lot of people, they lack, is that they're just thinking and they're choosing to be in that state. They're choosing to be negative. You can change that state instantly. The simplest thing, once again, just hit the floor. That's why I tell all my elite guys, like, just hit the floor and everything will change. You're going to feel so much better. And then you're going to be focused and locked in on what you desire to do in that moment. And then you're not in that moment of like, oh, yeah, I feel like shit today. No, you're going to feel way better after you just cranked out like 20 push-ups.
Well, that's a very powerful message to end this segment on. We're going to take a short break now. We are speaking about addiction and recovery with Nick Drivas, and we'll be right back. Hi, it's Debbie. If you like what you're hearing on Dream Power Radio, I've got good news for you. There's more information, more insights, more ways for you to live your dream life on my YouTube channel, The Dream Power Experience. Check out insightful video interviews with some of the leading experts in self-growth and empowerment. Plus, a few videos where I share my own advice on how to break free from whatever's holding you back. So take a look at the Dream Power Experience on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@the-Dream-Power-Experience.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking about addiction and recovery with Nick Drivas. Well, Nick, your addiction was porn. Do you help other people get rid of their porn addictions?
Yeah, so literally any type of vice, if it's porn, if it's alcohol, if it's drugs, anything of that sort, any vice that is holding you back, that is not helping you reach your ultimate potential. If you want to make more sales, you want to just level up your physique, if that's what's holding you back, anything at all, that's exactly what I help with.
Do any women have porn addictions, or is it all men?
No, women do. I feel like men do admit it a lot more compared to women. Like it's probably a very small percentage of women that actually come out and say, hey, I watch it and it is affecting my life, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. Some people do say it's not affecting their life, but love ain't lies out here too. So it's like, I don't know if they're actually lying or they're just saying it. So for women, not really. Like I get a lot of guys that have that struggle that hit my DMs that they're like, yo, I'm going through it. Like this is challenging. I don't know what to do. And it's a lot of even just like younger guys even. And then there are some guys that are like 30, 40, 50s, even that still have this addiction as well. I've seen it all. So it's not one that a lot of people are able to admit and say that they actually have the addiction for it, because it's not something like alcohol that's very like a mainstream addiction, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there are tons of addictions that we would never think of off the top of our heads. But if someone has something that they do all the time that is affecting how they deal with life, then that's an addiction. And that's something that they would need to address if they want to live their dream life, like I said. A lot of people slip into addictive behavior because they're feeling different or unwanted or unloved. How do you turn that around into helping people believe in themselves and to love themselves?
The work instills the worth. So that's the main thing that I focus on, especially with my team members, is literally to just start putting in some sort of work. If that's just like how I said before, hitting the floor and doing 20 push-ups. Maybe you have never done push-ups in your life, let's just say, and then you hit 20 push-ups, you try. You get back up at 10 because you fell, but you keep going, right? You're doing even knee push-ups, let's just say, not even full push-ups because you can't do that yet. That's still a win. That's still worth that you're putting into yourself. That's building a belief because you didn't do 10, 20 push-ups beforehand. Now you did for the day. And what's so crazy is that you can stack that as a win with anything. And it can start just with 10 push-ups or 20 push-ups. And then it can go into you starting a new career if you wanted to go and do. It could, with your addictions, if you can stop watching porn, let's say, and dumb it back and then subtract it even more. That's a big thing too. Start subtracting instead of adding so much to your plate, because that's what's making you lose belief. You're adding too much and it's going all over the place and you can't pick one thing. You have to subtract so much, make it so simple for yourself, and then focus on those 5 things and focus on those 5 things, turn those weaknesses into strengths. And then you're able to start to make more confidence just erupt into you to really focus on those things to become your best in those 5 things. And then that's going to make you go to the next thing, that next stepping stone. And they'd be like, okay, here's the next 5 things. So you already built it off of those first 5 things. Now you have the confidence under your belt. Now it's going to be even easier to smash these next 5 things.
Yeah, the important thing is that you're taking the action. You're not living in your head and thinking, oh, well, maybe someday. You're actually doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. The action is literally everything. Like, especially if you're just reading, but you're not actually applying. Like, we have a application issue. Like, we can read and learn all day, but like, are you actually applying what the author is like stating with what you're reading, or you just like learning just to pass time? So it's like we have an application issue. We have to apply more, not learn more, if anything.
When somebody comes to you with an addiction, do they stop cold turkey or how do they get off of that addiction?
So if they have, let's just say, a 10 plus alcohol addiction, what I tend to do is, depending upon how long they've had the addiction for, we just have to start again, is that fitness, mindset, nutrition. That's the main three things that I focus on at first, plus subtracting the alcohol addiction. So if somebody's had it for 10 plus years, it's going to be very hard at first to just go full cold turkey, because if somebody's just been doing it for a couple of years or a couple of months of drinking all the time, they're going to be a lot easier to just say, okay, I don't need this anymore. But the person that's had it longer, it's going to be harder to just say, okay, I'm done. That's it. So we have to just cut back. So if they're drinking every single day, then it's like, okay, let's cut it back to try just a couple of days a week. Then we do like see if that's working. Then we'd be like, okay, now just on the weekends. Okay, can you manage that? Can you build the discipline? And at the same time, we're also focusing on a non-negotiable daily process and a daily discipline checklist that I provide for my guys to make sure that you're able to hit everything and you're staying consistent along the journey so you can sustain it. And then it's like you're doing a backwards approach. So you're going down first and then you're going up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things on that daily checklist?
So for the daily discipline checklist, it's going to be like no sleeping in, no junk food, no fast food, no smoking of any kind, right? And then depending upon the actual addiction that you have, your main addiction, or it can be a couple of the addictions, you're just focusing on hitting that checklist. Usually it's around like 15 things that I have on the list. If you're able to hit all 15, perfect for the day. If you're only able to hit 11 out of 15, now you can see and go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what can I do to now hit 12 out of 15 for the day? So we're always focusing on the weaknesses to eventually turn into strengths for yourself.
So they just continue on the process. Uh, when working with somebody, is there an average time frame for somebody coming to grips with their addiction?
Well, like how I said, so if somebody has like a 10 plus year alcohol addiction, it's going to be different compared to an alcoholic that's only been drinking for, let's say, 2 years. So the person that's been drinking for 10 plus years, their journey is going to be a lot longer compared to finally break the addiction because of how many reps basically they put into drinking for so long compared to the person that's only been doing it for 2 years.
You get resistance from people who you're trying to coach?
Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes. And it's just like, well, it comes down honestly to how bad do you want it? How bad do you actually want to change your life? How bad or how annoying is it that you can't provide for your family or your kids are looking in front of you because you have a beer bottle in your hand and you won't go and play with them because you rather have the beer? Like, how bad is it at that point? That's your kid. They are looking up to you and you're drinking your life away every time you take that sip, So it's like, how bad do you actually want it? Do you want to lead from the front? Do you want to lead by example? Like, especially for your kids, for your family overall, like as an individual, like create the individual and give them to the world. So would that individual want to be a slob like that? For me, no, I don't know. I may just be psycho though. So, but that's just, yeah. So that's where the resistance is because I have the psycho mentality, meaning like, oh my God, he's like all in, go crazy, savage mode. Like that's just me though. But it's because people have a fat ego. So it's in the way of actually what you desire.
That's always the hard thing to tame is the ego, because the ego is there to keep us from getting what we really desire. Nick, I always like to hear examples. So without naming any names or anything, can you give me an example of someone you've helped and what happened?
Yeah, definitely. So I can actually I won't say his name, but it is a family member that I was able to help with him specifically. So that, again, like any sort of vice that you're going through, it can be porn, it can be even just smoking a cigarette. This is what I'm helping a family member with. We got over his addiction and he's been smoking for literally 10 years and he doesn't smoke anymore. He doesn't want to smoke. And it's because of the program that I went through and now that he's on. So he's like, yo, I don't want this. I want to just work out. I want to get better. I want to eat better. All this stuff that you're giving me, Nick, it's working. It's helping me. I'm not looking at the past. I'm focused on now. Like he's a business owner himself. And it's like his sales are going up 10% each month. We're dialing in more of his daily process, dialing just his monthly goals for the business and just overall for like across the board for everything for himself. So it's like the program works, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's because he's not focused on the things that were controlling him. And he was running to the vice, just like how I was, is that things weren't going my way. So I would go and run to porn. You can't do that. You can't run into the vice by escaping it. And that's what he was doing specifically with cigarettes. So we had to be, okay, we're just going to remove it slowly and replace it with things that are actually beneficial for him.
And he ends up with a life that he's a lot happier with.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. He's like, dude, this shit is amazing. I'm like, I know. It works. It worked for me, man. Like, it's going to work. It's undeniable that it works, but you have to, like, be committed. That's the thing. You can't half-ass it. Like, if you half-ass it, don't expect that everything's going to be hunky-dory. Like, you have to do it fully to reap the benefits.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, how can people find out more about you and your work?
So you can follow me on social media, Instagram, Nick Drivas Fit, YouTube, I'm on there too, NickDrivas Fit. And then I have my elite level program. That's where any sort of addiction or vice that you're going through, really build strong habits for yourself. Anything that you want to break through, limiting beliefs, and really become your best selves and become your 10.0 self. That's on my elite program. That's one-on-one Zoom calls we have, and we really dial in your process. And then I have just a mid-level where it's just more group calls with like-minded individuals in a community. And you guys are able to really get your mind, fitness, and nutrition right. So I have 2 programs, and you guys can just hit me up on Instagram at Nick Drivas Fit once again, and just say you came from the podcast and you're just ready to go and take action. That's it.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today.
Thank you, Debbie, for having me on. This was crazy. This was good. I love it.
Good. We've been speaking about how to deal with addictions with Nick Drivas. Hope you've enjoyed today's program. If so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio.